Hey, this is Malika of Evanston Live TV. Like much of the world, Evanston was hit by the pandemic in 2019. We went on lockdown in 2020. Many businesses did not survive. Our business district was hit hard. The Black Business Consortium wanted to know how the Black businesses in Evanston were surviving, how they were doing, how they were able to manage during these uncertain times. So they reached out to Evanston Live TV, Black media company and video production company right here in Evanston, and they wanted me to go out and talk to some of these business owners. So I did, and it was an amazing experience. I learned that there's a Black business in Evanston that can pretty much take care of all of your needs. And you'll get the opportunity to meet many of these Black business owners July 16th, James Park, from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Check this out.
So the Black Business Consortium, for me as a business owner, has really been a resource because there's Black businesses that are out there that come in contact with the city, come in contact with suppliers. There's times in which we need support. We may need maintenance from a plumbing, electrical perspective. So because of the Black Business Consortium, we've been able to indulge with other businesses to be supporters of ours. So if we're going to spend our dollar, we want to do as much as we can to keep our dollar local and help build the community. So the Black Business Consortium has given us the resources by having those names for us to be able to reach out to and to grab those resources when needed.
Hecky's Barbecue has been around now 38 years. My late husband, Hecky, I started this business back in October of 1983. We have had many challenges financially throughout our years of operation. We reopened on what would have been his 71st birthday in November of 2020. And throughout 2021, we have done fairly well during the pandemic, but there's no doubt that there's less business and greater difficulties in terms of securing staff and what you need to pay staff to keep good people with you. When I closed the business in September of 2020 for renovation, I was gratified when the City of Evanston, through the Economic Development Committee, agreed to give me a $50,000 low-interest loan. $25,000 of that will be a grant if I'm able to maintain and keep the business open for 10 years. So I definitely appreciated those funds.
Oh, it was absolutely unbelievable. I was closed for 3.5 months. I opened up, and for 2 weeks, I think I had 3 customers to walk in, and I had about 4 or 5 online sales, but it was devastating. I prayed a lot and I upped my online business, and I emailed customers. I did a lot of Instagram and did a lot of clienteling, calling customers, certain customers that I knew what they were looking for. So I would call them and we would do private sales. So it was almost like a private party. I'd have maybe customer would come in, maybe 2 people at a time, and they'd shop and everything. So it was almost like you had your own private sale. Anything I could do to make it, I did. I've gotten help from Kiwanis. I've gotten help from the City of Evanston. I've gotten help from clients. I did the GoFundMe page, like I said. So people have been very nice and very generous.
My clients from Evanston and Skokie, they really supported us. Just overwhelmed. It was too much. I love them. They took care of me. I've been here like 25 years. It was really overwhelming. Yes.
I sought out my customers and encouraged them, to look at apps and things like that and reassure them about the science of what was going on as I learned it and knew about the pandemic. And talked about the benefits of continuing their products if they wanted to. And many people sought me out during that time because so many people experienced anxiety, and pain, the whole 9 yards. There were so many psychological symptoms and psychosomatic symptoms related to this. People were having GI upsets and things of that nature, couldn't sleep. And so my product does help with that, and I just encourage them to continue using it and to up the dose as needed, and educated them about that, how to do that.
So overall, the outpour in Evanston community has been a great one. Evanston itself is a community and a city that support local business owners. So we saw the outpour by seeing patients refer other patients to us, and it was just spreading through word of mouth. So the outpour in the community was a great one, and we truly appreciate Evanston for supporting us.
It's a very thriving art community here in Evanston. So a lot of that was shut down, so you don't interact with the other artists or people that come to see and buy your work. And I feel that art is a way to express a lot of what's going on in the world, as well as what's going on with the individual artists, and how other people can relate to that when they go to a show or an event such as that. It helps. It helps the emotional system, it helps the spiritual system. So when all of that socialization is cut out, it makes a difference.
It affected to the point that we were closed down for 6 weeks. We opened back up. It took another 3 months to get back, if you want to call it, to black. We're still kind of like in the red now, but it affected greatly. We're still struggling to keep the business open. You end up having to do a lot of the work yourself. So in terms of, being creative, it's one of those things where it's hard to do when you're in a pandemic. You can't have big gatherings or anything like that, so you're pretty much stuck with whatever you can get in terms of the flow of customers through the door, and you got to stay at a minimum in terms of not too many people. So it's kind of rough being in the store. Yeah, there weren't too many new opportunities. We were able to get some, I would say, some help from the federal government, a little bit, not much. That allowed us to spread our resources out a little bit and stay open. Without that, I don't think we'd be open now.
So it's training the people like me to go virtual. And we do that. We do that with our seniors, older customers that are not savvy with electronics. Sometimes people have resisted. They have known me over the years, and they gradually go there and they say, "Oh, Mr. Lee, that's great, because I can get Saturday, I got my bill a month ago and I forgot about it, and boom, while I'm watching the football game, I email or sent you the payment." And they used to would call and check to see if we got the payment. Now, you've got reminders, you've got receipts that go electronically. So the office visits have decreased now. I'd say it used to be a 70%, now it's down to maybe 30.
One of the biggest things is community support. I've definitely received a lot of community support, a lot of donations, things of that nature. I would have liked to receive more support from the government. I think the government left out a lot of businesses with the restriction and guidelines when it came to the grants and loans that they were giving out during the pandemic. Not every business was able to take advantage of those things. So we had to lean on community members and thinking creatively and finding other avenues to bring in revenue.
You have to have faith. You can't give up. You just have to keep coming back every day. Just keep coming back, because if you don't have that faith, that one little inkling, you'll give up and we'll close. Because I didn't want to close for the pandemic, but then I realized that it was a health issue. And I said, you know what? I'm just gonna put it in God's hands, and we're gonna be all right, and we okay. So I come every day. So you just gotta have faith and not give up. Can't give up. You just can't give up.
Before we leave the funeral home, we had to dress up in our hazmat suits, face shields, respirators, not just regular masks like they wear. We had to wear respirators, even to go in. And then when we get to the different facilities, like a hospital per se, they wouldn't even allow us in unless we were hazmat suited, face shield, and respirator, because we were the only ones going into the coolers. They wouldn't even help us to go into the coolers because of the COVID.
We try and do the very best we can, not just haphazardly. And if somebody's having the funeral the next day, we don't try to shortcut and half embalm them. We embalm them the same way. And we like for the family to have less grief. We can't erase grief, but we try and have them have less grief and be able to go through that process. And having personally been through it myself, my father and mother have passed, grandparents, and just recently I lost my sister right after my brother, so I don't have any close relatives anymore. So I know how it feels because I've personally been through it.
Another thing that came out of the pandemic is I think people realized how important community is to them. And somewhere like Evanston, where we all buy into that and love that part of ourselves, it's even, probably quadrupled since the pandemic. You want to support people that are local and for one, not travel as far and really, really dig into the people in your world, because when something like the pandemic happens, you realize how much you need each other. And you're gonna need each other now, you're gonna need each other in the future. And it really, I felt, especially being here with our office on the main Dempster Mile, all the businesses and all the people are so supportive, even if they just knock on the door and wave, because they don't wanna come in with their masks on and everything. I felt so much community support and more referrals and more, wanting to support local businesses than I ever have felt before. And it's really heartwarming.
The first 3 months, again, I was petrified simply because I didn't know what we were going to do. And then once they started the virtual business, or that we were able to do it online via Zoom, my class numbers shot up exponentially. So it really improved my numbers online. Now, it shut down the other half of my business because with driving schools, you have the classroom portion, and then you also have the in-car portion. So we weren't able to do the in-car portion at all, which killed my employee kind of roster. A lot of my guys left, and they have not returned as of yet. I've grown up in Evanston my whole life. I know most folks, but I don't know if most folks, especially black folks, know that I'm here. There's another location they can go to in town, and I think they are getting the lion's share of the black business, which is driving me nuts. So I would love to get the opportunity to serve my community a little better, if at all possible. And I think through them finding out that I'm here a little bit more, because I hear people, I didn't even know you had a driving school, and I'm like, so it drives me crazy. So I want more people to know that I'm here.
When the pandemic first hit and the first stay-at-home order was issued, we were certain our doors were going to close. A lot of good restaurants that we know and frequented did wind up closing. We just knew we were going to close. And so we actually devised a plan to start closing. Me and my brother had decided we were going to use whatever inventory we had to feed 5 seniors until we were out of inventory. And that was our plan. We posted it on Facebook. I think the first day we fed about 18 seniors. The way Evanston rallied around these seniors was just amazing. We started receiving donations. People were sponsoring a senior. So by like week 3, we were up to like 200 people a day for 7 days a week. We made like 1,400 meals a week. And we did that until August. So it was March through August. We did 200 meals a day.
Long term, because we have consistently had the expo and the bus tours, we know that the pandemic has not given us the opportunity to do that, and that's why these recordings more so to be virtual is necessary. But long term, the consortium is to be able to not just have connections with other businesses, but to have an opportunity to buy local, to increase our buying power as an organization and as a collective body of businesses. And I think we're about 75 to 82 businesses right now. We need to reevaluate who's operational now and who may have folded during the pandemic. But all that also says is that there's windows of opportunity for new businesses to get started as well. And so our goal is to continue to be a functional organization, and more importantly, for us as a business within that consortium to be as effective as we possibly can be.